Samantha from Summer Tutorials here, and today I'm going to show you how to combine alcohol inks, metal leaf and polymer clay together. Now the trick for today is going to be that we're going to bake the clay and metal leaf together before we apply the inks, and that's going to create a really nice blooming effect. Now what I have here is a piece of black Primo polymer clay, and this was rolled out to about 1.5 millimeters thick, and I'm going to take that and apply that onto a little tile, because once I cut this out I don't really want to have to pick it up and move it around, so I'm popping it onto a tile that I can put straight into my oven. And then you're going to want some silver metal leaf, and just bring that over. And here is how that looks. And you're going to want silver because that's going to show up the colours of your alcohol ink the best. Feel free to use any colour of metal leaf you want. I find gold can add a really nice vintage effect if you are interested in that. So play around with the different colours, but if you want your inks to show up with their true colours, then silver is generally the best way to go. And you're just going to apply that onto the clay and press and smooth it down so that that leaf sticks to the clay. And that's quite important. Make sure that there aren't any air bubbles. Like I can see there's an air bubble there. And air bubbles, if they're present, can cause problems later and have your leaf lifting off the clay. So spend a little bit of time giving it a burnish. There we go. And where's my cutters? I've lost them. There they are. Alright, and I'm going to use this set of cutters. And you're going to cut them all out before applying the ink. And by cutting them out and then baking, the ink is going to bloom in a way that it wouldn't if your clay was still raw, because the ink, when applied to raw clay, tends to kind of absorb into the clay a little bit, and so the colours can be a little duller. It won't create those really nice circular effects that you'll see when you work with inks on other materials. So if you have used alcohol inks before, you probably know what I'm talking about. But yeah, if you're working with alcohol inks, experiment around with raw and baked clay. You end up with completely different effects. I'm just going to cut out all of my pieces ahead of time. Okay, and then I'm going to lift up the extra clay, and you can use that for a range of different things. It does not need to be scrap at all. You can use it for lots of different things. Just pop that to the side. And there we go, and just make sure that you get rid of any extras that you might have sticking there. There we go. Alright, and then that is going to go into the oven for about 40 minutes at Primo's recommended temperature. And I'd recommend actually going over with your finger and just smoothing it down a little bit, because the leaf will wrinkle a little bit. But in general, that now you can pop straight into the oven. Alright, and once they're out of the oven, here is how they should look. You can see quite shiny, everything's baked on, and they also should be a little bit on the bendable side of things. Now, I would advise taking care of the backs before moving on to the next step. You do want to be careful because the metal leaf can be sanded off very easily. So you're going to just take a piece of sandpaper. I would recommend doing this by a sink. I'll just show you very quickly. But you're just going to give the back a sand to clean up those shiny areas, and I'm going to leave it matte, but you're just going to sand until you've cleaned up all of the backs. and then you can move on to using the alcohol ink. If you're happy with the backs, how they look, then you can move on, but definitely sand before applying the alcohol inks, and again, very careful because this can come off with the sandpaper and if you rub a little too much with your hands. And once they're sanded, you're going to have a little bit of a matte back, and that can be taken care of later with a little bit of wax or some varnish. For now, I am now going to colour these. Now the important thing is to arrange them because we're going to paint them or colour them with the ink in such a way that we have kind of a gradient going through them. And I actually am going to pop those onto a piece of paper. And that is just going to allow me to move it around, and also it's going to soak up any extra ink that kind of gets spilled. Now the colours that I'm going to be using are Passion Purple, Baja Blue, Sun Bright Yellow, and Chili Pepper. And those colours all together should result in a nice rainbow effect. And I would recommend opening those so that they're ready to go. Open them away from your piece. Also, I'm using the Pinata alcohol ink line, but you can use any alcohol inks that you want. It does not need to be these ones. I would recommend nice bright inks. That generally gives the best results. And yeah, I'm going to start off with the red, I think. And I'll start with the red, purple, yellow, and then blue. Right, so let's start with that. I have a nice brush here, and I'm going to pop the ink onto the brush first, and then I'm going to work that onto my piece, and it will give me more control for how I want things to move. And you're going to start off with a first layer. I'm just going to colour a little bit there and a little bit there. Okay, and then I would recommend just going and tapping back over again to make the ink colour a little bit stronger. Okay, then put that to the side, and I'm going to move on to the purple, and I'm not going to clean my brush because I actually want the two to mix together a little bit. I might just dab it off a little bit, there we go. But I do want the colours to mix together a bit. And then yeah, you're just going to move up through the colours, blending them and creating a rainbow-like effect. And again, feel free to use whichever colours you want. And just try to keep everything sitting together so it looks like you're transitioning between pieces. Okay, and where's the red? I'm going to grab the red again because I want to blend those two colours together because I don't think they've blended together as well as I would like. And just keep tapping and layering. The fun from this really does come from layering everything together. Okay, and then the next step after having done that is going to be to grab some isopropyl alcohol and just off to the side spray very lightly to get a dappled effect. And that was one spray, one more, and I'm just doing it very gently because it can create a very strong effect very quickly. I'm going to do one more. And there, I think that should be enough. I don't want to go further than that because you can see that it does start to expose the silver underneath. So if you want to do that, you can. If you would prefer to skip that, that is also fine. Okay, and then I've moved it onto a silicone mat, onto a tile that I can move around, and I'm going to apply UV resin to it. This is the UV resin I am choosing to use. I find it quite good and I haven't had problems with it. And you're just going to take that and you're going to apply it to your piece. And you want to start with a small amount. Don't go overboard, especially with thinner shapes like this. You want to just apply that down the middle. Okay. Then grab some tools and you're going to take that and you're going to spread that out. And work quickly because the ink can get lifted off the leaf with the metal leaf, with the resin, so you might find a little bit of bleeding. The quicker you do this and get it under the UV light, the less you're going to experience it. Right, and I would put that under the UV light for about 15 minutes, and that should give it a good cure. Yeah, and I'm going to do the other ones as well. Alright, and here is how it should look once it's been resined. And you can see how that will really bring up a beautiful glass-like shine and flash to the piece, and almost makes it look like dichroic glass in a way. Now, for each piece, you're going to want to take a little handheld pin drill or a motorized one if you feel confident with that. And you're going to want to drill a hole right at the top of the piece. And it can be a little tricky at first because resin is a fairly hard material, so it can take a little bit of time to get that going. And just bear with me for one moment. Once you actually get through the resin, it's a pretty quick process. There we go. And then just drill the whole way through, like so. And just make sure that's drilled through. Yep, all good. Then you're going to grab a jump ring, and I'm just using a silver one. You can choose any colour of metal you want. And I'm just going to open that up, pop that through, and I'm going to leave it open because I'm going to attach this to a piece of chain. And I have already assembled the other pieces, so I'm going to pop them over here so you can see. And you could use them in a multitude of different ways. It does not need to be linked onto a piece of chain, but I thought that that was a nice way to go today. And then you're just going to take that and you're going to link that onto the chain. And chain can be a little tricky because you want to make sure that everything is correctly placed. You want to make sure that you have the correct number of links between each piece, and you also want to make sure that it's connected to the right part of the link. If you've worked with chain, you know what I mean. But just if you are working with chain, just go nice and slow to make sure that everything is evenly spaced. And I'm just going to settle that so you can see. So the chain should be sitting nice and flat, and then I've got 2 links between each piece, popping each piece onto the 3rd link. Then you're going to grab a clasp and a jump ring, and you're going to open that jump ring and you're going to attach your clasp. It's very easy and simple. I really did want to keep it simple because I feel like the colours and flash of the pieces that we've made already do a lot, and I don't want to distract from that. I was thinking about using some glass seed beads, and I did have a look, but I felt like that was a little too much, so I decided to stick with the pieces. Hold on, this is giving me trouble. But yeah, there we go. I managed to get that going. It's a little bit of a fiddly clasp, but I thought that would work perfectly fine. But yeah, that is just about it for the tutorial. A nice, easy one. I thought that it would be nice to just showcase the metal leaf. I usually use this technique to make faux labradorite, but I don't think I've used it ever in this kind of project where I just put a bunch of alcohol inks on and see how colourful I can make the piece. And I think that the results are quite nice. Feel free to use the techniques shown in a variety of different ways. It does not need to be a necklace. You could make this into earrings, you could make it into a bowl. There's a number of different things you could do. But yeah, that is just about it. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do let me know in the comments below, and consider leaving a like and subscribing, as I do videos like this just about every single day. And if you'd like to support the channel so I can continue creating videos just like this one, please do consider becoming a member. There is a join button just below this video, or there is a link to my Patreon account in the description below, along with a link to my Etsy store as well, where you can find things such as the cutters that I used in today's video. All are a great way to support the channel, and I'll greatly appreciate it. But yeah, that's just about it. I do hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.